The quiet of the night shift at the Deep Space Monitoring Station in Nevada was broken by a series of rapid beats. Tom Baker lifted his head from his coffee cup, eyes narrowing at the unusual pattern flashing across his screen. After 15 years of watching the stars, he had never seen anything quite like this. "Hey, take a look at this," he called out to his colleague across the room. The pattern wasn't just random space noise. It had structure, rhythm, almost like a conversation. Within hours, similar reports began flooding in from monitoring stations across the globe. Something was happening in the Kuiper Belt, far beyond Neptune's orbit, and it wasn't natural. James Miller hadn't slept in 36 hours when he made the breakthrough. A former codebreaker turned military analyst, he had been staring at the data streams until his eyes burned. The patterns weren't just signals, they were encrypted communications. Alien communications. "Play it again," he told the computer, rubbing his tired eyes. The visual representation of the signal danced across his screen, and this time, he saw it. The aliens weren't trying to talk to Earth, they were talking about Earth. The discovery spread through military channels like wildfire. Within days, the world's top analysts and cryptographers gathered in a secure facility beneath the Pentagon. They worked around the clock, piecing together fragments of alien languages and codes that had been hiding in plain sight for centuries. Miller stood before the United Nations Security Council a week later, his hands steady despite the weight of his discovery. The room was packed with world leaders, all eyes fixed on the screens behind him. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice clear and firm, "Earth has been under quarantine. These signals we've detected are discussions between multiple alien civilizations about our planet's status. They'd been watching us, studying us, and deliberately keeping us isolated from the rest of the galaxy." The room erupted in voices, but Miller raised his hand for silence. "There's more. These communications suggest that this isn't a recent development. Based on our analysis, Earth has been under observation for at least the past 1,000 years. General Wilson stepped forward, his face grim. "The implications are clear. Every major leap in human technology, every breakthrough we've achieved, they've been watching, judging, deciding if we're ready for contact, or worthy of elimination," Miller added quietly. The revelation sparked an emergency global summit in Geneva. For the first time in human history, old rivalries were set aside in the face of this unprecedented situation. World leaders gathered in the historic Assembly Hall, where the air was thick with tension and purpose. As Miller presented the full scope of his findings, a strange calm settled over the assembly. The aliens' discussions painted a clear picture. Earth was considered unpredictable, potentially dangerous. Some alien factions argued for continued isolation, others for direct intervention. "They're afraid of us," Miller explained, displaying charts showing the aliens' assessment of human technological progress. "Our rate of advancement has exceeded their predictions. We've developed technologies along paths they never considered possible." President Adams stood up, her voice carrying across the silent hall. "Then perhaps it's time we showed them they were right to be cautious." The summit lasted 5 days. When it ended, the world had changed. The United Earth Defense Council was formed, bringing together military and scientific leaders from every nation. Their first act was to begin coordinating humanity's response to this invisible audience. As Miller walked out of the final session, he found himself looking up at the stars. They no longer seemed distant and cold. Now they held watching eyes, measuring humanity's worth. He smiled slightly, knowing what those observers would soon learn. Humanity had not been as blind as they thought. In his pocket, his phone buzzed with a message from the Pentagon. New signals had been detected, showing increased activity among the alien observers. They had noticed that their communications had been discovered. The game of hide and seek was over. The real test was about to begin, and Earth was ready. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, even if they hadn't known it. Now, it was time to show the galaxy exactly what humans were capable of. As night fell over Geneva, Lights began coming on in military installations across the globe. In secret bases and hidden facilities, weapons and shields that had been developed in absolute secrecy were powered up for the first time. Humanity's response was about to begin, and the watching aliens were about to learn a valuable lesson about underestimating Earth. The quarantine was over, but humanity would be the one deciding what happened next. Dr. Anna Thompson stood in the ice cave, her breath forming clouds in the freezing Antarctic air. Her team had been excavating this site for 3 months, but what they found today changed everything. The metallic object embedded in the ancient ice wasn't natural. It wasn't even human. "This is definitely not from Earth," she said into her recorder, carefully brushing away more ice. The object was smooth, almost liquid-looking, despite being frozen for what could be thousands of years. Its surface showed no signs of rust or decay. The Discovery team worked carefully, using heat tools to slowly free the artifact from its icy prison. As they cleared more ice, they realized it wasn't just one object. It was part of something much bigger. Dr. Thompson called one of her assistants, excitement clear in his voice. "We found markings. They looked like writing." 3 days later, similar discoveries were reported across Antarctica. More teams found more artifacts, all buried deep in the ice. The pattern was clear. These weren't random findings. They were pieces of something that had happened long ago. In a secure facility near the excavation site, Dr. Thompson connected a video call with the United Earth Defense Council. The room was filled with screens showing military leaders and scientists from around the world. "What we found isn't just evidence of alien contact," she explained, displaying 3D scans of the artifacts. "These are remnants of battles, ancient battles. Earth has been invaded before, and we fought back without even knowing it." The screens showed detailed analysis of the artifacts. Weapons, armor, and pieces of ships, all bearing marks of combat damage. Carbon dating placed them at different periods throughout Earth's history. The first invasion attempt appears to have coincided with the Bronze Age collapse. Dr. Thompson continued, "What we thought was a natural disaster was actually humanity's first victory against alien forces." General Wilson leaned forward in his chair. "How many times have they tried?" "We've confirmed 3 separate attempts," she answered, bringing up a timeline. The Bronze Age collapse, the late antique Little Ice Age, and the year without a summer. Each time, humanity survived what we thought were natural disasters. But they weren't natural at all. The evidence was overwhelming. During each event, ancient humans had fought back against advanced alien forces, and won. They didn't have advanced technology. They didn't even understand what they were fighting. But they had survived. "The most remarkable thing," Dr. Thompson added, "is how these invasions failed. The aliens had superior technology, but they couldn't adapt to Earth's conditions. Our ancestors used their knowledge of the environment, their resilience, and their sheer determination to drive them back." Military historians began re-examining historical records with new eyes. Stories of strange lights in the sky, unexplained phenomena, and mysterious battles took on new meaning. Humanity had been fighting this war for thousands of years without realizing it. In the ice cave, Dr. Thompson's team made another discovery. Hidden beneath the larger artifacts was a small device, still intact after thousands of years. When they carefully activated it, it projected a holographic message, a warning left by the last invasion force. The message was clear, even if the language was alien. Earth was too dangerous. Its people were too resourceful, too adaptable, too determined to be conquered. The aliens had retreated not because they were defeated by superior technology, but because they couldn't overcome humanity's will to survive. Back at the Defense Council meeting, the implications sank in. Earth hadn't been quarantined just to contain humanity. It had been quarantined because the aliens were afraid of what humans could do. "Our ancestors fought them off with bronze weapons and stone tools," General Wilson said, his voice filled with pride. "Imagine what we can do now." Dr. Thompson looked at the artifacts spread across her lab. Each piece told a story of human survival, of victory against impossible odds. Now, with modern technology and unified purpose, humanity was stronger than ever. As night fell over Antarctica, more excavation teams arrived. The ice held more secrets, more evidence of humanity's unknown victories. But this time, Earth wouldn't wait for the aliens to make the first move. This time, humanity knew exactly what they were capable of. The ancient artifacts stood as silent witnesses to humanity's strength. And soon, the watching aliens would learn that humans hadn't just survived their past attempts. They had grown stronger because of them. The monitoring station beneath Mount Cheyenne buzzed with activity. For 3 days straight, alien communications had increased tenfold. John Reed, the lead signal analyst, hadn't left his post in 20 hours. Something big was happening up there. "Play that last sequence again," he ordered, turning up the volume. The decoded alien messages filled the room, translated by advanced AI systems. What they heard made everyone stop and listen. "The humans have advanced too quickly," one alien voice stated. "Their technological growth is beyond our models. We must conduct a final assessment." Another voice joined in, its tone different from the first. "They're too dangerous. Look at their warfare capabilities. They went from basic flight to space travel in less than 70 years. The United Earth Defense Council gathered in their underground chamber within hours. The room was tense as Reed played back the intercepted communications. "Multiple alien species are debating our fate," he explained, pointing to different signal patterns on the main screen. "Some want to make contact. Others think we're too dangerous to join their galactic community." General Wilson stood up, his face stern. "Show them the part about their predictions." Reed nodded and played another sequence. The alien voices discussed humanity's progress with clear concern. "Their weapons development has exceeded all projections. They achieved nuclear fusion 50 years before our models predicted. Their AI systems evolved along paths we never considered. They don't understand us," Admiral Rogers commented, studying the data. "They can't predict what we'll do because we don't think like them." The council chamber's screens lit up with more incoming transmissions. The aliens were planning something called a final assessment of Earth. Some species argued for peaceful contact, others for continued isolation. A few even suggested more drastic measures. "They're afraid," said Dr. Thompson, who had been called in from Antarctica. "Not just of our weapons, but of how quickly we create them, how we adapt and improve them." President Adams stood at the head of the table, her expression determined. "Then perhaps it's time we showed them exactly what they should be afraid of." The council spent the next 12 hours reviewing humanity's hidden capabilities. Projects that had been developed in secret, technologies that had been kept hidden, even from most of the world's governments. It was time to reveal them all. "Look at this," Reed said, playing a new transmission. "They think our most advanced ships can barely reach Mars. They have no idea about the Jupiter Defense Fleet." Admiral Rogers smiled. "They also don't know about the quantum shield network, or the consciousness transfer technology, or the antimatter production facilities on Mercury." The council drafted their response carefully. This would be humanity's first official message to the watching aliens. It needed to be clear, firm, and unmistakable in its meaning. "We know you're watching," they began. "We know about the quarantine. We know about the previous invasion attempts. And we know you're afraid of us." The message continued, revealing knowledge that shocked the alien observers. Humanity hadn't just discovered their presence recently. They had known for decades. Every achievement that surprised the aliens, every technological leap that defied their predictions, had been carefully planned. "Your fear is justified," the message stated, "but not for the reasons you think. We're not dangerous because we're warlike. We're dangerous because we survive. We adapt. We grow stronger from every challenge." In orbit, hidden human satellites activated, dropping their cloaking fields. The alien observers suddenly realized they weren't watching Earth. Earth had been watching them. "The quarantine ends now," the message concluded. Not because you decide to end it, but because we choose to step forward. You wanted to assess us. Here we are. Show yourselves. Reed watched the alien communications explode with activity. Their hidden observation posts, which they thought were secret, began powering up defensive systems. They were finally realizing that humanity had known their locations all along. They're scared, he noted, monitoring the frantic exchanges. Good, General Wilson replied. Fear breeds respect, and it's time they learn to respect us. As the message broadcast across the solar system, humanity's hidden defenses prepared for whatever came next. The aliens had wanted to test humanity's readiness. They were about to learn that humanity had been ready for a very long time. The assessment was beginning, but it wasn't the aliens who would be doing the evaluating. This time, humanity would be judging them. The red dust of Mars swirled beneath the hovering fleet of Earth ships. What had been hidden for decades was now on full display. Admiral Rogers stood on the bridge of the EDS Defender, watching as hundreds of vessels moved into position around the red planet. All ships report ready, his first officer announced. The alien observers have positioned themselves at the edge of the system. They're watching. Good, Rogers nodded. Let's give them a show they'll never forget. Begin the demonstration. The first display of Earth's true power started with Mars itself. Hidden facilities across the planet's surface activated, revealing massive energy generators that had been buried beneath the red soil for years. Quantum shield network powering up, the technical officer reported. All stations green. In space, the alien observers watched in stunned silence as a shimmering field of energy began to form around Mars. Within minutes, the entire planet was enclosed in a protective barrier that their scans couldn't penetrate. Shield strength at maximum, the officer confirmed. The entire planet is now protected. Rogers smiled. Phase 2. Show them our ships. The Earth fleet began to move. Ships that the aliens thought were simple transport vessels suddenly transformed, revealing weapon systems far beyond what Earth was supposed to possess. The fleet split into precise formations, demonstrating maneuvers that should have been impossible for primitive human technology. Sir, his communication officer called out, we're detecting increased activity from the alien observation posts. They're trying to analyze our technology. Let them look, Rogers replied. Time for Phase 3. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, several large asteroids suddenly vanished. They hadn't been asteroids at all, but carefully disguised weapons platforms. Each one contained humanity's most closely guarded secret: antimatter weapons. The demonstration began. Targeted bursts of antimatter energy struck precisely selected asteroids, causing them to vanish in flashes of pure light. Each blast was controlled, precise, showing not just power but mastery over the most destructive force humans had ever created. Message from Earth Command, the comm officer announced. They're ready for the FTL demonstration. This was the moment Rogers had been waiting for. The aliens believed humans were confined to simple rocket propulsion. They were about to learn how wrong they were. All ships engage quantum drives. The entire fleet vanished in a burst of light. When they reappeared seconds later, they were orbiting Jupiter. The distance that should have taken months to cross was covered in an instant. In their observation posts, the alien watchers were panicking, their communications filled with frantic exchanges as they tried to understand how humans had achieved what they thought impossible. Final phase, Rogers ordered. Show them the colonists. On several of Jupiter's moons, hidden bases powered up. They weren't just research stations, they were fully functioning colonies. Thousands of humans had been living there, protected by the same quantum shields that now guarded Mars. But the biggest shock came from the people themselves. The colonists stepped out wearing no protective gear, their bodies adapted to the harsh environments through advanced bioengineering. Humanity hadn't just reached the outer planets, they had learned to thrive there. Send the final message, Rogers commanded. The transmission went out across the solar system. This is humanity's demonstration of our current capabilities. What you have seen today represents less than 30% of our total military and technological strength. The rest remains hidden, for now. The alien observers' response was chaos. Some observation posts began powering down, preparing to retreat. Others started broadcasting messages requesting immediate diplomatic contact. "Sir," his first officer reported with a grin, "I think we got their attention." Rogers watched the alien ship scrambling to make sense of what they'd seen. Earth had just revealed technologies that broke what they thought were universal laws of physics. But they still hadn't shown everything. "Return to Mars orbit," he ordered. "Let them think about what they've seen." As the fleet vanished again in a flash of FTL travel, Rogers knew the message had been received. Humanity wasn't just ready for the galactic stage. They had been preparing for it all along. The demonstration was over, but its effect would ripple across the galaxy. Earth had shown just enough of its power to prove they were a force to be reckoned with, while keeping their greatest achievements still hidden. The next move belonged to the aliens, but now they knew. Humanity wasn't just waiting for them. Humanity was ready for them. The United Nations Assembly Hall had been converted into humanity's first galactic communication center. Massive screens covered the walls, showing various alien observation posts scattered throughout the solar system. Admiral Robert Drake stood at the podium, ready to deliver Earth's official warning to their watchers. "All communication channels are open," the tech team confirmed. "They're all listening." Drake nodded, his weathered face stern. He had commanded Earth's hidden fleets for 15 years, preparing for this moment. Now it was time to make humanity's position clear. "To all observing species," he began, his voice firm and measured. "You have watched us for centuries. You have tested us, isolated us, and judged us. That ends today." The screens showed immediate reactions from the alien observers. Some tried to maintain their cloaking fields, not realizing Earth could see through them easily. "First," Drake continued, "let us demonstrate what we know." He pressed a button, and holographic displays appeared around him, showing the locations of every hidden alien outpost in the solar system. This base behind Jupiter's moon Europa, belonging to the species we call the Blue Sphere Alliance, the observation post in the Kuiper Belt, operated by the Crystal Collective. And yes, even your stealth station orbiting Venus. We see you all. The alien communications erupted with shocked responses. Their most secret installations, some hidden for centuries, were being casually revealed to all. "We have known about your presence for generations," Drake revealed. "Every time you thought you were secretly watching us, we were actually studying you, your technologies, your weaknesses, your fears." He brought up images of the Antarctic discoveries. "We remember the invasion attempts, the Bronze Age, the Dark Ages. Each time you tried to conquer us, humanity grew stronger. We didn't just survive. We learned from every attack." The screen showed detailed scans of alien technologies, proving Earth's deep understanding of their capabilities. "Your quantum communications, we decoded them 50 years ago. Your stealth systems, we can track them easily. Your weapons, we developed countermeasures decades ago." Drake's voice grew harder. "You thought you were containing a primitive species. Instead, you gave us time to prepare, time to build, time to surpass you in ways you never imagined possible." He gestured, and new holographic displays appeared, showing Earth's hidden defensive grid, satellites, weapon platforms, and energy shields that had been invisible until now revealed themselves across the entire solar system. "This is your final warning," Drake declared. "Earth is not your experiment. Humanity is not your test subject. We are not awaiting your permission to join the galactic community." The alien observers were now broadcasting on all frequencies, some trying to establish diplomatic contact, others preparing to retreat. "From this moment forward, these are our terms," Drake continued. "Any hostile action against Earth or its colonies will be met with immediate and overwhelming force. Any attempt to interfere with human expansion into space will be considered an act of war." He paused, letting the message sink in. However, we are willing to establish peaceful relations, as equals, not as your subjects or your scientific specimens, but as a fully recognized spacefaring civilization. The screen showed more alien ships arriving at the edge of the solar system. Word was spreading fast across the galaxy. Earth wasn't asking for recognition, it was demanding it. You have 24 Earth hours to withdraw all covered observation posts from our solar system, Drake stated. After that, any unauthorized presence will be treated as a hostile act. If you wish to establish diplomatic relations, you will do so openly and honestly. He stood straighter, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's united determination. Remember this, everything we showed you in our demonstration was technology we were willing to reveal. Consider carefully what we might still be keeping hidden. The message was clear. Earth wasn't just declaring its presence on the galactic stage, it was establishing its position of strength. The choice is yours. Drake concluded. Meet us as equals in peace, or face us as equals in war. Either way, the time of hiding and watching is over. Humanity has risen, and we are here to stay. As the transmission ended, the alien observers scrambled to respond. The message hadn't just been a warning, it had been a declaration. Humanity was done waiting. Now, they were setting the terms. The 24-hour deadline was about to expire. In the Global Command Center beneath Geneva, military and civilian leaders watched as alien ships moved across their monitors. After centuries of silence, the watchers were finally making their move. Multiple ships approaching from the outer system, reported Captain Mike Turner, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. They're flying with active beacons. No weapons charge. General Wilson nodded. They got the message. What about the observation posts? 90% have already withdrawn, Turner answered. The remaining few are powering down now. They're actually following our orders. The first alien diplomatic vessel appeared in Earth orbit exactly as the deadline expired. It was massive, clearly designed to impress. But the humans watching it knew something the aliens didn't. They could see right through its hull, count its crew, and analyze its technology. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, the communications officer announced. Multiple species, all requesting permission to land. Some of them. She paused, surprised. Some of them seem afraid. The main screen lit up with the first official alien transmission. The speaker was tall, with crystalline features. A member of the Crystal Collective. People of Earth, it began. You have surprised us. In all our history of watching developing worlds, none has ever detected us before achieving official contact. President Adams stood before the response camera. Perhaps that says more about your observation methods than our development, she replied calmly. More transmissions followed. Different species, different reactions. Some expressed fear, others admiration. The Blue Sphere Alliance admitted they had severely underestimated human potential. The Stellar Concordat confessed they had been wrong to support Earth's isolation. You developed technologies we thought impossible, one alien leader stated. Your quantum shields operate on principles we never considered. Your faster-than-light drive uses concepts we dismissed centuries ago. Dr. Thompson, watching from her Antarctic research station, couldn't help but smile. They still don't understand, she said to her team. They think we followed their technological path, but did it faster. They haven't realized we found entirely different paths. In orbit, more diplomatic ships arrived. Each one was scanned, analyzed, and permitted to send down small delegations. The aliens found themselves in a carefully prepared diplomatic center, one that had been built decades ago, waiting for this very moment. Your civilization is unique, another alien representative admitted during the initial meetings. Most species develop along predictable lines. They followed the same technological progression we did. But humans, you created technologies we never imagined. Because you never had to, General Wilson responded. You never faced the challenges we did. You never had to survive knowing there were hostile forces watching you, waiting to strike. The alien delegations were shocked to learn that Earth had detected their presence long ago. Humans had developed their technologies knowing they were being observed, preparing for either peace or war. "We believed Earth was a controlled experiment," one alien confessed, "a civilization developing in isolation. We never considered that the experiment had become aware of the observers." President Adams stood to address the gathered alien representatives. "For centuries, you watched us like specimens in a laboratory. But we were watching too. Learning. Preparing. Every technology we developed was created with the knowledge that we weren't alone." The aliens began sharing information about the wider galaxy. There were thousands of spacefaring civilizations, they explained, but none had developed quite like Earth. Most followed the same technological paths, the same development stages. "You created a quantum shield network when you should have barely mastered nuclear fusion," one alien scientist marveled. "You achieved faster-than-light travel without using any of the standard approaches." "How?" "Because we didn't know what was supposed to be impossible," Dr. Thompson explained. "We found our own ways, developed our own solutions. While you watched us take our first steps into space, we were already walking among the stars." As the first day of official contact drew to a close, the aliens had learned a crucial lesson. They hadn't been observing a primitive civilization struggling to advance. They had been watching humanity quietly prepare for this very moment. The balance of power had shifted. Earth wasn't joining the galactic community. It was redefining it. 1 month after first contact, Earth's position in the galaxy had changed dramatically. The Global Command Center was now hosting representatives from over 50 alien civilizations. But today's meeting would reveal something that would shake the galactic community to its core. "It's time to show them the truth," President Adams said to her advisors. "They've seen what we wanted them to see. Now let's show them what we can really do." Admiral Drake stood before the assembled alien delegates, his expression serious. "You've all been impressed by our quantum shields, our faster-than-light drives, our antimatter weapons. But those were just the technologies we were willing to reveal." The room grew quiet as holographic displays activated, showing massive structures hidden in the spaces between planets. Bases, shipyards, and research stations that even the most advanced alien scanning systems had failed to detect. "Impossible," one alien representative whispered. "Those facilities, they're completely invisible to our sensors." "Phase-shifted reality technology," Drake explained. "While you watched our visible progress, we built an entire civilization in parallel space. What you've seen so far is barely a third of our true capabilities." The displays showed more: ships that could manipulate gravity itself, energy weapons that could target specific atoms, and defense systems that could redirect entire asteroids through dimensional shifts. Dr. Thompson stepped forward. "We developed these technologies because we had to think differently. Your observation forced us to be creative, to find solutions you never considered." The aliens watched in stunned silence as humanity revealed its greatest achievement: consciousness transfer technology far beyond anything they had imagined possible. Humans weren't just surviving in space, they were evolving to thrive there. "Our bodies can be adapted to any environment," Thompson explained. "We can transfer our consciousness between organic and synthetic forms. We've freed ourselves from the limitations of biological evolution." General Wilson activated another display, showing Earth's true defense grid. The entire solar system was wrapped in layers of security that the aliens hadn't even detected. "Every time you thought you were watching us, we were actually testing our stealth systems against your sensors. This is why we revealed ourselves now." President Adams addressed the shocked audience. "Not because we had to, but because we chose to. We could have remained hidden for centuries more, building our strength in secret. Instead, we decided to offer peace." One alien leader, his crystalline form shimmering with agitation, spoke up. "You could have conquered half the galaxy by now. Why didn't you?" Adams smiled. "Because that's not who we are. Humanity doesn't seek conquest. We seek understanding. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We want to explore it, learn from it, and yes, help protect it. The revelation of Earth's true power led to immediate changes in galactic politics. New treaties were drafted, with Earth as a founding member. The old power structures that had governed space for millennia began to shift. We propose a new galactic order, Adams continued. One based on cooperation, not control. One where developing civilizations are helped, not hidden. One where different paths of development are encouraged, not suppressed. The aliens learned that humans had already established colonies in neighboring star systems, using their phase shift technology to remain undetected. Earth wasn't just joining the galactic community. It was already an interstellar civilization. Your greatest mistake, Drake told them, was thinking you were running an experiment. You weren't the scientists. You were part of humanity's test. We needed to understand how advanced civilizations would react to us. Every move you made taught us something valuable. As the day ended, the aliens left with a new understanding. They had thought they were watching humanity's story unfold. Instead, they had been unwitting participants in humanity's greatest achievement, preparing for galactic citizenship on their own terms. President Adams stood at the window of the command center, watching Earth's first official diplomatic fleet prepare to depart for alien worlds. Ready for the next chapter? She asked Admiral Drake. He nodded, smiling. We've spent centuries preparing for this moment. Time to show the galaxy what humanity can really do. Above them, ships flickered into visibility, then vanished again, heading out into the stars, carrying humanity's message to the galaxy. The age of hiding was over. The age of humanity had begun.